Wildcats win it 34-14.
Yeah, played a really good football team. I thought our guys played really well as opposed to the week before. Obviously, it wasn't good enough, and we're never satisfied. But I felt like our defense really played much better. They looked much more organized, and didn't have quite such a surprised look on their face when we took the field. And I think part of that's, we have a lot of young guys that had never played in that first game versus Hines, and turns out we played a really good Hines football team. Coming off of that game, really didn't know how good they were as a football team, but looking back and looking at the scores from last week, turns out they're a pretty good team that I feel like is going to be ranked this week for sure in the country.
Well, you're right. Hines did beat East Mississippi last week to go 2-0. And as you mentioned, our defense, outside of that beginning, those first couple of drives, and we'll take a look at our first half highlights in just a bit, but we had 7 3-and-outs on defense this week. And I know Sean Cannon has to feel much better about his defense than he did after the first game.
Absolutely. Our defensive staff really put a lot of pressure on themselves this week, and justly so. In this business, we want to be perfect in what we do, and we're never going to be satisfied with a subpar performance. And Coach Cannon did a great job of rallying his troops this week and getting them to play at a much higher level. So I think each week will improve. I know that's certainly our intentions, and this week's no exception. I think Pearl River, definitely a quality opponent, gave us some things and gave us some fits on some things, but I think we came away from the game, and Coach Hatton told us after the game, hey, you guys are a different football team than you were in week 1. So that's encouraging, but at the same time, we play the game to win, and we're never satisfied unless we win. So we've got our sights set on that first win. Hopefully it comes this week.
Well, we hope so as well. Let's take a look at our first half highlights, and they're brought to you by Coca-Cola. Open happiness. Coca-Cola and ICC, a winning combination. Well, Pearl River scored first, Coach. Took the first drive of the game, 58 yards, and it was capped off by a Simon 1-yard run, and quickly we fell behind 7-zip.
Yes, we went in the hole quickly, and the thing that I was proud of is really the first 2 drives that they had offensively. Kind of shocked us, but I was really proud of the way our guys responded after those 2 drives. They bowed their neck and they came to play after that. Just wish we wouldn't have gotten a hole that quickly and had to try to dig out quick, But the first 2 drives definitely stunned us. We didn't get off the bus ready to play those first 2 series, and after that it was a different ball team.
No question about that. You mentioned the other touchdown, Simon from 11 yards out, and halfway through the first quarter it was 14-0. But as you mentioned, then all of a sudden we started bowing up on defense, and offensively we scored with 3:17 left in the first quarter of play. What a pass from Andy Wilson to D'Angelo Henry. First time we saw D'Angelo make a catch, and he made it sure exciting.
Yeah, D'Angelo is a guy that we've been just really, really waiting for him to step up and be the player that we know he can be. Thursday night we saw it. We saw some flashes of greatness. The thing with D'Angelo now is that consistency. We need to get that from him, that type of effort from him out of him every week. And if we get that type of effort, we feel good about our chances. But big, tall, physical receiver. Had 3 catches for I think 169 yards. Exceptional numbers for him, with 2 touchdowns also. So 2 of the 3 passes he caught were touchdowns. Great player. Like I said, though, just got to be consistent week to week.
Well, it was 14-7 after that 54-yard pass. And then in the second quarter, we had some opportunities, had some decent drives, but we couldn't put any points on the board. And at halftime, it was 14-7.
Right. We did have some drives to stall throughout the first half there. And that's something that we really were frustrated with. Pearl River did a great job of shutting down a big part of our offense in Keon McGoy.
Right.
And they committed to the run, and basically they said, we're not going to let you run it. You're going to have to beat us throwing the football. And probably the strength of their team is their secondary. Some really great players in their secondary, and they were able to manage the game by handling us, you know, and not letting us get off in our routes very well. So, you know, they did a fine job of shutting down, you know, our running back and our running game, and very physical up front. They did a good job. You know, at the end of the game, Coach Hatton and I talked, and he said we felt like we had to shut down number 21, and you know, and they did that.
McGoy finished with just 31 yards on 19 carries. And those are your first half highlights, brought to you by Coca-Cola. When we return on ICC Football with John Williams, we'll take a look at the second half highlights. But first, as we go into break, a chance for you to win some free barbecue from Rick's Barbecue in Fulton. We got an easy one for you this week. Can you name the first year that ICC opened its doors? Back then, of course, it was Itawamba Junior College. When was the first year that IJC was in business? That answer, if you have it, call my office at 862-8274, 862-8274. First correct answer, get some free barbecue from Rick's Barbecue in Fulton. More of ICC Football with John Williams right after this.